yeah, this video is probably gonna go up late. Try and upload it tonight. But I didn't think I'd get a video done this week. Cause, yeah, so most of you are not from Australia, I think. Australia is doing pretty, like, average when it comes to internet connections, and, you know, a few years back, the previous government wanted to bring in the national broadband network and cover as many people as possible and have, you know, faster internet connections so that we stop slipping down the international ranks and we can actually do all the things that, you know, you can do with the internet. Blah blah innovation, blah blah, and whatever. I think it had something to do with business and economics. I don't know, do you remember? You don't remember. But yeah, so now we've got a different government and they've gone and done it a completely different way. So it's been a bit of a shambles. Basically, the old government wanted to do fiber to the premises, which means running like decent fiber optic cables to every house. Whereas the current government, who are like, their party's known for being pretty conservative and more about, you know, supposedly better at the economy, although, you know, there's some uncertainty about that. But, you know, conservative in general and worried about spending money, and they're not very forward thinking in terms of, you know, what we could do with a decent internet infrastructure. Which is just crazy, because Australia, everything is so far away, you know, and the internet is one way that we could bring everything together. But, you know, whatever. What this government's doing is called fiber to the node, and that's like, instead of running fiber to every premises, it's like they have the fiber go to a little box somewhere, I don't know exactly how it works, and then you use older existing technologies to go from that node to all the houses. So if you're only connected to copper cable, that's what you get. And just like, so the fiber optic cable is capable of so much, but then the information has to go through a shitty copper cable, so you know, you're not getting the full benefit of it, and it's a bit like, and at some point you'll have to upgrade all that stuff to fiber optic anyway, so in the long run it'll probably cost more, but hey, what do I know? Yeah, anyway, so the NBN has been rolling out gradually for past few years, I don't know exactly. And in the news you're always seeing people complaining about it. There are claims that it's like only 1% of people who are complaining, which, considering how big this rollout is, I mean, it's a nationwide rollout, it does make you think, like, maybe it's not such a big deal, it's just like, it's a big project, and 1% of a big number is still a big number, so maybe that's where it's all coming from. But I've been having trouble finding, I've been having trouble finding anyone who's had a really positive experience with it. Anyway, general shambles. A lot of Aussies are like, the NBN. Yeah, and this government doesn't really have, they don't really give off the vibe of being good with the technology. Or like technology in general. They tend to be like the older, you know, fuddy-duddy party. But yeah, so the NBN has rolled into my area. Finally, I was hoping they would wait because my area is very conservative voting, and so they don't need to impress this electorate to get votes. They're just always going to vote for the same person. So I was hoping they would wait and give it to us last. I think I'm going to sneeze in a sec. Maybe. Oh dear. Yeah, anyway, but no, they've started rolling in here, and that would be fine, except they went and cut our cable. We're on cable internet, we've got Foxtel, so just run it all through the same thing. It's quite fast. We were having problems with our ADSL. Yeah, I don't remember whenever we switched over. Which I think might have been a modem problem, to be honest, but hey, I'm not complaining. Cable internet's really good. at least as far as Australian standards go. I'm sure people overseas are laughing at me. Yeah, anyway, so they cut our cable, and it's just like, I'm coming up to assessments. I've got stuff that I need to submit online, and stuff I need to research, and it's just been a real pain in the ass. So I've wasted too much time trying to troubleshoot it, and then going online and checking their outages and finding out that someone's cut the cable. I don't know if it was by accident, but if it wasn't by accident, they should have given us some kind of warning and maybe tried not to do it during peak usage times. Because yeah, I saw all the neighbors' phone Wi-Fi, like the hotspot thing. I saw all these hotspots popping up in the middle of the night. It was kind of amusing. But yeah, I've also discovered through that our home phone, our landline, isn't working at the moment. And I know my parents were talking to the company to try and figure out what's going on, because, you know, people try to call us. And it's mostly someone from a call center trying to sell us stuff. But, yeah, you know, sometimes someone might call us for a legit thing. And, you know, so I've got to tell everyone, hey, my home phone's not working, use my mobile. But what the phone company was trying to tell us is that they would have to charge us some huge amount to try and fix it somewhere in our house, or I don't know what. But when I was looking up these outages, it turns out our neighbors have broken phones as well, so kind of pissed off with that. Yeah. So our internet's back now. Hurrah! But it just, I've been behind on everything, trying to catch up on all the things I need to do, and end of semester stress, and just not getting enough sleep, and had to spend more money to get data on my phone just so I could do some things I really needed to do. And then I was getting everything ready to take it to uni and use the uni Wi-Fi, which is like, it's okay, it's not the best, but it's fine, it's acceptable for what I needed to do. And I stayed up really late getting all that sorted, and then in the morning the internet was back, and I was just like, you fucking wasted my time. And yeah, so it was really hard to get anything done because I was just so tired after that. But yeah, now it's back. So, hey, video complaining about the internet. I mean, I had been planning to make a video about America and stuff, because yeah, America's just like, I've learned so much over the last year or so. But yeah, no, just rambling about the internet instead. And I think it's really interesting seeing how much the internet has changed just like heaps of stuff in society. Is yeah, I'm old enough that I remember a time before the internet. My first experience was probably in primary school. I think we had the internet, but there were only maybe 3 or 4 computers in the library. And if you were lucky enough to get on, everyone was just doing Neopets. I've still got my Neopets account, I think. I log in and every now and then, just enough that my account's still there. So yeah, but I haven't logged in ages, so I guess it could be dead by now. No, Neopets has changed a lot as well. Do any of you guys play Neopets or have an old Neopets account? I can try and find my own old one, but yeah, shit, I haven't even thought about that for ages. Before that, we just had computers with, what is it? There was this game called Pod, and he was this red circle, and the little thing says Pod can, and then there's a space for you to write something, and you've got to write something like walk, and if you write walk, it'll go Pod can walk, and then it is walking along. But my favourite one was Pod can pop, and he just sort of expands, and then he explodes, and all these little red things go everywhere. That one was always fun. And if you wrote nonsense, it would say Pod can't do that. Yeah, so early computer games. That was for kids, but yeah, I don't think computer games were much better back then. So getting the internet was kind of exciting, but it was a lot harder to actually find anything on the internet. Like now you've got Google and all those other search engines, it just makes it heaps easier. And then when you're on Facebook, you get all these suggestions and people send you stuff, and YouTube is just like when my most recent depression started and I was just like barely capable of anything, I sort of after a while got out of bed and was just watching endless YouTube stuff, and it keeps suggesting more and more things, and you can just sit there all day watching YouTube. So I think that's actually how I started watching all the American stuff. I probably just stumbled onto something, and then it's led me to all these talk show hosts, and even like MSNBC is on fucking YouTube, and documentaries about America. And I also watched a whole bunch of stuff about nuclear weapons and how all that came about. And what's that? There's that series, I think it's called Catastrophe, about all the different things that the Earth has survived, from the formation of the moon to the time the entire planet froze over, and then the time the entire planet was practically on fire, and there's just so much stuff there. And then, of course, if you've been following me long enough, I'm sure you know about my social problems. I mean, I was heaps shy as a kid, but coming out of school, I think the two, I might add another one, but right now I can think of two things that really helped me get better with the social thing. One of them was getting my first job, which was at McDonald's, and in that situation, you basically have a script with the customer, and I had a really good manager who helped me out with that, and that just helps you talk to people, because you end up realizing that you don't have to come up with anything to talk to most people, you just follow the script. Although they were like, early on, you're saying, hi, how are you? And then they place their order. But the first time that someone said, I'm good, how are you? And I was like, that's not in the script. I'm not supposed to say like how I am. That really threw me off the first time. But, I sort of got a bit better at figuring that out. Yeah, that helped me a lot, because I was just talking to people all the time, but without having to, I don't know, I didn't really get the whole social interaction thing for a long time. And then the other thing was later on when I started vlogging, way back when I was talking about, my first antidepressants, when I was looking at the whole vampire thing. That was really interesting. I haven't looked at that for a while. That might be kind of fun to see what that's about. And like, other kid and stuff. And I mean, I've seen some of that popping up with, there's a lot of the gender thing going on in Western culture at the moment, and every now and then someone mentions otherkin as I don't know, but I was like, hey, I actually know what that is. But yeah, no, I was talking about psychology, and I don't even fucking know. I was talking about so much stuff. And I'm sure I've said it before, like, just talking to the camera, it's good practice. And no one can interrupt you. Like, one of the things that I used to struggle with is when you're with a big group of people and people keep talking, and it's like you try and say something, but then someone else has already started saying something, so you're like, is it rude for me to keep trying to talk over them? And also, like, is my opinion worth anything? So just having me and the camera, but also people commenting and saying like, hey, you were talking about depression or whatever, and I'm actually going through that too, and I found it really helpful that, I'm not alone and blah, blah, blah. Like, getting that kind of feedback was really helpful, and now it's kind of hard to shut me up. I actually had someone call me an extrovert the other day. That's, like, I've always been more of an introvert. I mean, I was so quiet at school. Almost everyone on my school reports was like, she has a lot to offer, she should speak up more. And I'm like, I don't even know what to speak up about, because I didn't really have opinions then. And I think I wouldn't have had opinions without the internet, probably, because, maybe I would have gotten into reading newspapers. I did go through a phase of reading a lot of newspaper type stuff, but, you can only read what's in the newspaper, and if you want to know more about something, it's like, well, I guess I could go to the library, but I don't know, the local library, it's okay, but, there's only so much you have there, and it's not necessarily up to date. yeah, stuff like that. But I was really, really shy, which it's kind of funny to think about now because I'm a heavy metal performer. I mean, I haven't performed in ages because I was depressed. Like, depressed enough that I couldn't sing. Now I'm getting better, so I feel like maybe I can start to perform again just when I get my new project going. But, you know, uni's been so busy. You know, we put in our exhibition last week, and now I've got to I finished off my jewelry thing. I just need to think of how to present it, and I might do a video thing for that. I haven't decided. I'm either going to do a video or a performance in class or something, so I might show you it. I'm not sure. I've got to think that. And then the other thing is I'm making all these like really damaged toys. My dogs have chewed the arm of this princess thing, and I don't know, there's more all over the place. I'm using them for an art project, but yeah, just been really busy. What was I talking about? I went on a tangent. I was talking about being introverted. Yeah. Oh, and then I'm talking about the singing, and then the music. Okay. I remember where I was going. But yeah, no, I was really quite just, you know, socially bad at being a person. I don't know, words. But the weird thing is, like, when I was really little, I was actually kind of a performer kid and, you know, massive ego and running around, whatever. So I think maybe I've somehow regained some of that. Not quite in the same way that kids do it, but, you know, performing's fun. Music's kind of fun. All that jazz. And so I guess I can kind of see how someone might think I was extroverted now, but it's kind of, you know, I'm quite happy to just be on my own, and sometimes being around people can be quite tiring. On the other hand, being depressed, when I'm on my own is when I tend to sort of just be like grumpy. I mean, it's taken me so long today to get moving, and I just had to sit out in the sun. I mean, to get moving, I kind of have to force myself to get up, get dressed, and spend a bit of time outdoors. I think that's probably the way to do it. I'm still working this out, because otherwise I just want to stay in bed, or just sort of flop in front of YouTube or whatever. Yeah, so, what was that? I keep going off in tangents and forgetting where I'm going. The extroversion thing. Oh yeah, right. So with depression, yeah, I will tend to be like, oh no. But when I'm around people is when I try harder to put on the like, I'm actually okay face. Like, yeah. Although smiling for photos is really awkward because I don't really remember how to do a natural smile, so I usually try and laugh to try and get that. Like, I know I need to make that general shape, and then you got to do like something with your eyes to make it a genuine smile. So I'm trying to, like, I don't fucking know how to smile. It's even worse if I'm in a situation where I have to wear lipstick. Like, all my modeling photos with lipstick, I have no idea what to do with my mouth. And I also know that when I'm concentrating on things, my mouth does this sort of like, it just like gets very small and weird looking. Yeah, but yeah, when I'm with people, I make an effort to seem like, and you know, like in my videos, I'm all like trying to be a bit more energetic. And I think that's why this person was like, oh, so you're an extrovert because you're feeding off people's energy. But actually, I think it's more of a depression thing. And when I'm healthy, I could go like whatever way. I will put on the people-y thing, especially because like in music I kind of have to talk to people and not just close in. Like, you don't just get on stage and then go off. You've actually got to, you know, go out and make the time to thank your fans and whatever. You don't just go off and hide, especially in the local scene. I mean, if you're a huge artist, of course you're going to go backstage and maybe greet a few people, because it's just not practical otherwise. But in the local scene, you need to be out there thanking the people for coming to see your show and whatever. So I've gotten a lot better at that because I've had a bit more practice now that I've been in a couple of bands that actually gigged and, you know, had a decent following. But I'm plenty happy to just go home afterwards and curl up just with puppy and, you know, wherever he's gone off to, and just, you know, have some me time. I mean, even in my family life, they know that I'm not a social person, so they'll all, you know, watch TV together or, you know, go on a shopping trip or whatever, and they know that I'm probably just gonna stay home, and everyone's good with that. It's just because, you know, I'm an introvert. At least I think I'm an introvert. When someone says, oh, you're an extrovert, I'm like, what? Really? Maybe I could be. But I think I'm an introvert. I also have depression, so, and you know, like, even on my better days, depression is just sort of, it comes in and out of my life, and I've got to figure out how to deal with that, because once, I think I'm getting closer to the end of this depressive episode, but, yeah, I've really got to try and prepare better for the next one, and try not to get into too many commitments, because I think the last one was a real bad combination of having way too much on my plate, and then the emotional burden of my grandparents dying. It just all hit, and I kind of collapsed under the pressure, and just, yeah, I've got to make sure I don't do that again, because life throws all this unexpected crap at you, and you just need to have a little bit of spare energy to deal with that, I think. That's my theory right now. Anyway, so introverted stuff, internet good for me, and that internet good for learning stuff. Even if it's mostly pop science, you can find a decent amount of actual information. It's just, I think not everyone's really good at sorting the fact from fiction, because there is a lot of dodgy stuff out there, and I mean, I still every now and then realize I was wrong about something, partly because of something on the internet, like, you know, I never really had much of an opinion on GMOs, but I had heard a lot of people saying it was bad and making it sound bad, but then when I found out what they actually were and the science and all that, I'm pro-GMO, sorry if you don't like that. I'm also now coming around to the idea of nuclear energy, which just, like, I'm at art school right now, okay, and most art students tend to be a little bit more left-leaning, but you also get some of the ones who are really left-leaning and greeny, and there's this one lady who was trying to tell me stuff about homeopathy, which I don't believe in, and I just said, like, look, we're coming from really different backgrounds. You remember that I'm the chick who's pro-GMO and starting to be pro-nuclear, and the look on her face was amazing, and it kind of, you know, conversation chilled out after that. It was just like, okay, a fun one to use if you want to get out of that kind of conversation. But yeah, no, the nuclear thing took me ages, especially, like, you know, with Fukushima bringing all that back up, but now that I've actually taken the time to look into it a bit more, I am coming around to the idea. I'm not 100% yet, but I think that might mostly be an emotional resistance rather than a fact-based resistance. Yeah, so I'm constantly learning as well, and realizing that things I've learned mostly from the internet aren't always good. It's a bit of a paradox though, because a lot of the time those things that I thought were wrong, those things I thought were right but that were actually wrong, I learned on the internet. But I also learned the corrections on the internet, so yeah. Anyway, this turned into a ramble about the internet. Maybe next week I'll talk about America, but oh my god, like, things are just constantly moving so fast there at the moment. It's like, should I talk about America, or will something happen and just make my video obsolete straight away? I don't know, maybe I won't make it so much about current events, maybe I'll just give my overall impression, because, like, American history is crazier than I thought it was. Yeah, so I think that's all for now. And I'm sorry about the delay for the video. I can't control the phone companies. Yeah, and like, there is no way I could upload a video at uni. I would have to make it probably the shittest quality possible just to get it to go, because when I upload these, sometimes it takes a couple hours and I have to pause it, and it's so cool to find out that YouTube has a pause function now. That's amazing. I have watched a lot of videos about criticism of YouTube's, like the adpocalypse. I mean, I've never really made money off ads, so that doesn't bother me so much, but it does worry me that, I mean, I watch a few channels who make really good content, and it does bother me that YouTube isn't supporting them, because some of them have been struggling with the adpocalypse, and I'm not someone who can put a lot of money into things like Patreon to support them, so, you know, I just go and support them by not installing ad blockers and, you know, whatever. Yeah, so I've heard about that, and I think also, like, there's a whole bunch of censorship, but I think that's related to the adpocalypse. And then there was something else, but I forget. I don't know, that seems like YouTube has done some dumb ideas, and there was that Susan Wojcicki or whatever, the CEO, who tried to make her own channel, and that intro video was just like, really? Yeah, so YouTube has some issues, but being able to pause and upload, thank you. Oh my god, I just, you know, my internet is better than it used to be, but so is my damn camera, and I mean, I guess I don't have to record it in this full quality. I'm pretty sure my phone has a setting. I still haven't quite figured out my phone, but I'm pretty sure it has a setting to lower the quality, so, you know, I guess I could do that, because it's not like I'm doing anything graphically intensive, but, yeah, I don't know, just for everyone in general, if we're focusing more on HD quality videos, it helps to be able to pause and upload, especially because Australia is lagging in internet speeds, kind of embarrassingly, for a developed country. I mean, it's like the same-sex marriage thing, we're so behind, and yeah, it's nice to have upload pausing, and I'm gonna stop there, because I just, like, this is kind of a meaningless ramble here, and whatever. The longer I talk, the longer it's gonna take to upload.